Anyways, I'm just gonna move on because the mic isn't significantly better than the built-in mic on the Mac, or that's at least my opinion. And that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to move on and to start the essay. Now, a lot of people have, well, I get this paralysis by analysis, and it's really difficult to write the personal statement. Just starting off is really difficult. So here are some ways that you can start. Now, these are just ideas. You don't have to start like this. It's probably a lot better if you don't start like this because that means you're able to be creative in the way that's you. I could. There's a exhaustive, much more exhaustive list than these four, but I can explain these four better than other techniques because, well, they're simpler and easier to define. That doesn't mean I'll come up with more later, but these are four that I sometimes use. So curiosity is a very, very broad is a very broad term. So curiosity, how can you make someone curious? One is to show certain things, but to not let them know what's gonna happen or what this essay is about. So for example, um, the ball soared into the air and headed for the goal. Everybody paused. It was a very still moment, frozen in time, and it could have been 50-50. The goalie just got a hand on the ball, grabbed it, and the robots didn't score. The score is still tied, or the humans were still up 1-0. Okay, so what is this essay about? We, the student and I, he was talking about RoboCup, and I know way too much about. I mean, I know way more than like I should, because of working with him. But he's a world champion in this thing called RoboCup at the junior level, which is I'm guessing under 18, and he's something like a world champion. And not that that's hard to believe; it's just pretty crazy, you know. So he did this thing, and the essay is about RoboCup. It was an activity essay, and he had trouble. Basically, the difficulty in his writing was the problem with his writing. I won't say problem. Thing that he could improve on is writing with more flair, but that's not content. Okay, so I advise him not to write with flair because it would take away from the heart of the essay, and the heart is this process of really being really, really good at that one thing that really no one else is good at. And that's one way to distinguish yourself. And that he had that essay, he had that activity. So it made the essay choice easy, but it didn't make the introduction easy because it's very easy to just go into there's this thing I do and like robots play against humans, and the goal of the robot team is to win, and it hasn't happened yet. So that's what I want to do. That's basically that's it. If I said it like that, but you can. So in his, I suggested adding a little bit of dramatic pause, and also to be ambiguous as to what it is and to reveal it very slowly. That's one way to do curiosity. Definition. This can come off a little cheesy, so you can just say like artificial intelligence is the combination of cognitive science and robotics and psychology and neurobiology in layman's terms. Is that one way to define it? You could. So he chose two. I think it was cognitive science and also another one. Anyways, that's definition. You just straight up say what that thing is, and you're either trying to sound knowledgeable or not in a pretentious way, but knowledgeable, or you want to sound authoritative. You're gonna talk about this, and you're gonna talk about it. So good. A very good sample of this would be the UNC supplemental this year, which is they had 5 supplementals. One of which was if you were to give a TED talk, what would you talk about and why? TED talks are all about being very, very, very unique, having really incredible insight into something, or just being very original, being a forward thinker, things like that. So you have to understand the prompt. So that's understanding the prompt, tip of the day, and also the the prompt will where am I going with this? The prompt will direct you to where you need to be. Anyways, one was about Malala standing up for something. The other one about TED. So for TED, if you use the definition, so earth art is what I do. What is earth art? Blah, 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 blah. So you define it. That's an introduction. Is it the I don't know. It's hard to. These are examples of what you could do. It doesn't mean that's all you can do, but you know what? There, it's so subjective, and that's why one, it's ungradable, and you know when it's bad. But incredible, the difference between great and incredible is subjective. Like it's just hard unless you don't know what you're reading. Um, but it can get complex to the point where you don't understand it too. But so clarity versus complex. Anyways, so those are two. Another one is anecdote, and an anecdote is basically a personal story about what happened. So you can give quotes, you can talk, you can set up a scene basically. I was walking down the street with my friend, and he was like, "Man, the meal order system crashed again. This thing sucks." And then I was like, "I can make a meal order system because I can program, so I'm gonna do it." And that was another essay that another one of my students wrote. So yeah, it sets up the plot and it sets up the theme, which is I want to help. The core point, which is I want to help. I would just want to help people because I can and I have this ability to. And he comes off as very humble and personal characteristics. Another tip. That's what you want to show, and he showed humility. It was one of the things. And we have Confucius right here. Anyways, description of humor. That humor is very hard to come up with on the spot. You can be quirky. You can be how else can you be humorous? Generally speaking, I don't advise or not advise, but I don't see a lot of situations where humor does work. Being quirky is one of them. Like, I'm not what you think I am. That sounds kind of dark already. Just humor. Description. This is one of the less This is one of the less interesting unless you have the ability to create imagery. Imagery can come in a lot of different ways. It can be the physical, actual thing that you're describing, or it can be metaphorical. So colors can represent feelings, like inside out. Okay, that was a really good analogy. Analogy, another part of rhetoric. That's pretty. Anyways, so colors, shapes, hue, vibrancy, ambiance. These are all things that you can put into the description, and you can, within each of those categories, you have different words. You can feeling, so you can describe it very, very to the point where you're either in a drama movie or you're witnessing some event that happened, or you can talk about a project that you worked on in great detail. So those are 4 ways you can start an essay, and I'll give some examples in a second.